However you want to do it.
Yes, indeed. We getting it going here in the building, episode 35. A little bit different than what we usually do. Uh Dave isn't here at the beginning of the show. He's running around with the kids for them for a moment, but he'll be back. He'll be in during momentarily. And but I'm glad to be here. Kyle Means here. With our special guest for this evening, Abstract Mindstate, Olskool Ice-Gre, and EP the Hellcat.
That's
Now,
right.
y'all, if you're watching this, I would think maybe you know a little bit about them, but if you don't, this is a very dope special rap group from Chicago. We're gonna get into their origins and everything, but they put out a record this year. This being our last show of 2021. I'm real glad to have you guys on because I think you guys put together one of the best stories of the year, an inspiring story for many, and just a really fun, a really positive story that results with it one of the best rap albums of the year. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you,
my
Kyle.
pleasure. My pleasure. And the album, as you can see on the bottom, is called Dreams Still Inspired. Now, again, we'll get into the story of how this album came together. But what y'all should know off top is that it was produced entirely by the man Kanye West. Both of these artists have long ties with him, and we're gonna talk about that as well. But it's really just a well put together, tight, enjoyable session of music, really representing a lifetime of work. It seemed like that y'all put together, and like I said, glad to have you on the show simply because of that. But in getting to know more about y'all history and everything, I got some questions myself because I feel like you some kindred spirits in some ways.
We got some answers.
Yeah, I think y'all could hit me with some good some good games, some good knowledge by the end of this show. But starting off, I appreciate when y'all jumped on EP, hit me with the sort of the season's greetings type demonstration there. So I want to just throw that out at y'all. How have y'all been at this point of the year? Because and thinking about the end of each year, sort of a time of reflection and self inventory and everything. And in y'all's case, y'all have had this year where y'all reestablish yourselves in the hip hop game, and just recently you've had your first show in many years, opening up for Slum Village at the Promontory and everything. So it seems like y'all got the best of both worlds right now. You get to look back at this year where you did so much and accomplished a lot, but you got a lot still to look forward to. So, how you guys, dealing with that right now?
Well, first of all, Kyle, we didn't open up for Slum Village. We co-headlined it with Slum Village. We
Oh,
were
excuse me.
co-headliners.
That was a co-headlining show.
It was in Chicago, so yeah, y'all should have co-headlined.
That's right.
Well, and Ann Arbor, we did 2 shows. We did Michigan too.
We did 2 shows. Ann Arbor too. We was co-headlining.
Okay,
but so the holidays, always brings angst with it anyway. But this holiday, leading up to the holiday, and working on this album the entire year, it's like it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable, and we're seeing, like, I think those first 2 shows, those warm-ups to Midwest Marauders 2022, those warm-ups were like our gifts to ourselves, because that was our confirmation that we still got it. Like, so for me, it was pretty much like that was my gift to myself. And I was so nervous, so much nervous energy leading up to those 2 shows, and to perform at the level that we did and be able to do that again without hesitation and without like missing a step. That was exciting, and it makes me look forward more to the 2022 full tour.
Yeah, that's great. And it seemed like that was for you, that's sort of a big part of this whole story, and putting together the album and everything. For you is you sort of had to work yourself back up into being a performer again and everything. And we'll get a little bit deeper into that in a moment, but just when did it hit you really when you got on stage for that first show? When did it really get good to you? Like, was there a particular moment that stood out above all?
Well, I mean, for me, I would say that, and I don't know, probably EP too, because we'd be on the same vibe in terms of this performance thing. Because as you know, when you look into the history of us, we are known as like this live performance group. That was always our strength. That's what we was, and that's what everybody was expecting. The same thing they always remembered, And I say the part when it all came off, and funny, shout out to young RJ of Some Village, because what he said before we got on stage, because he saw us back there like, woo, we were kind of, we were nervous, but in a fun, joking, nervous, yeah, but like saying, woo, man, it's been about 20 years we ain't been on this stage. He was like, oh man, y'all seasoned vets, man. He was like, after y'all get past the first song, it's gonna be like, well, it's all gonna be like this and that. Y'all gonna be right back into it. And I can say, Salutations, which is the intro to the album. It's an intro, it's a song, but it's our intro. It's just the intro to the album. It definitely sounds so much like an intro that we decided as it was going to be part of the live show. It was going to be the opening for the live show. It's no other place for Salutations but to start off. So after Salutations, EP can speak on it after that. I just feel she feel the same way. But once we got through Salutations and that little opening, man, it's like it broke everything out. They responded exactly how they needed to kind of put us in play. And after Salutations, it was like, I felt like, okay, it's on now. You know what I'm saying? After that first song.
And it really has been 20 years since y'all did a show together.
Over 16 years. Like I'm not sure the exact.
We don't know if it's exactly
the date of our exact last
show. Y'all remember the last one.
Yeah,
but it's been a minute.
No music has been out in 16 years, but performing, EP and I have been kind of trying to figure out when
was our last show?
When was the last show? We knew when the last music was 16, but the last show we just don't. We're not sure if it could have been 17, 18. We don't know, because the last music was a mixtape, which we didn't get to do, many shows from it. You know what I mean?
And those the Chicago, you talking about the Chicago's
hard working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been listening to those tapes on Spotify. I don't know how much money y'all getting from it, but I ran them back on Spotify, man. And those are some dope tapes. And I know a few of the tracks stuck out to me, like when tracks that I know I've heard before, and I was like, man, they're really just good, I think, representations of the scene in Chicago with so many of the guest appearances you had on, and so many of the original beats. Like, shout out to Rashid Hadi, man. That's our guy. Yeah. And me and Dave have interviewed him a couple of times. We consider ourselves friends of his, and he blessed y'all with a lot of tracks on those tapes. And and y'all also did quite a few freestyles over beats from that era too, which I appreciated, being old enough to have been outside during that time, like y'all over some G Unit or some Know Your Clap or something like that. I'm like, y'all laced that.
With me and EP just realized how much fun we had over some of those tracks, because we used to be anti we always wanted everything to be original, so we wasn't even interested in rapping over the mixtape style. Because the original, that's funny, the word mixtape has evolved into something else. Because if you remember the original mixtapes, that's what you did. You kind of rapped over popular tracks. And the whole point was to have a familiar track to introduce something new or someone new. And that was the crossover. That's what would allow mix show DJs to add you to rotation, because they were already playing Know Your Clap, so they can just kind of slide in this altered version, which would be really, ours was make the go clap, which was just like, we're gonna turn it into some Chicago vibe. But I was talking to EP, it was just a couple of months ago, or was it even a couple months ago? And I was like, man, we was going in. Remember we was talking about the I was like, we were going in, like we was really writing on those remakes or whatever. And I just didn't remember that we put like so much like pen into it, and it was dope. So to hear you even say that was how much you like them, we definitely can appreciate that now, because we realize how much we put into those as well. Because I ain't gonna lie, we wasn't too like, that wasn't our happiest part of the mixtape, because that was the political part. The DJs we were trying to get more radio,
and he was trying to get more spins.
We were trying to get more spins, and they advised us, man, y'all need to rap over, because we were known to only make original music, and he was like, y'all got to rap over some of these tracks. And man, EP like, here we go with it, you know what I'm saying?
And definitely let me give some props to y'all original tracks too. Like when I was starting out, I just hadn't had the names in my head yet. But when I was talking about tracks that I remember hearing back in the day, like I just looked up like Insanity. That's a track that I hear that right away, and I'm like, yeah, man, I used to bump that. And I don't like it wasn't like, because y'all wasn't on the radio and stuff like that, y'all was music that I really had to come across like on the blogs or fake trading and stuff like that. So you have that feeling too of you're finding something that really represents what your taste is, and it's that feel of revelation to it that sort of enhances the feeling that of just hearing good music.
Right.
Insanity was Extreme. Shout out to Extreme.
He
always laced us with them thick, hard hitting, heavy. EP always laughed. So he's like, Extreme always give us that, that grimy necessity and all of that. But Extreme was Insanity.
That's a nice track there. You talk about that time, like I guess as we sort of get y'all back up to the present day, like what was things like for y'all when you were putting out those tapes, and what led to y'all having that sort of layoff where because this is why I'm sort of getting into the whole kindred spirit thing, because I think a lot of us, I'm not as old as y'all, of course, but I'm nearing 40, so I've lived a bit, and I've seen things. I've had some losses, I've had some wins, and I've had times where when my ambitions didn't match up to what to what my results didn't match up to my ambitions, and I didn't get to where I wanted to be, and I had to pivot, a turnaround completely, For y'all, was that what the case was for y'all when you put out this music and you didn't, it didn't lead to like a record deal, or y'all putting out an official album in that time?
Well, I think that the mixtapes were us grasping at straws and trying to hold on to what we had captured in the earlier album and what we had actually captured in the second album that never came out. We have a full album, Still Paying, that never came out, and so we did the mixtapes and released those, just trying to drum up enough interest to bring out Still Paying. So like it was a disappointing time. It was because we never really wanted to do mixtapes. Like we felt like Still Paying was one of the best projects like ever, and we still do. and we still do. So the mixtapes were born, no pun intended, out of necessity.
Out of necessity.
Like they
and that, it was sort of like that
born.
whole thing where people were recommending you do things like you said to get radio playing and stuff like that.
And let's not and keep in mind, like we're still paying. We had this huge rollout plan in place, and the investment portion to it fell out. So we was trying to buy time until we can either get a new investor, or at this point, we felt like that record was so good that this is when we start, I could say, settling. And when I say settling, this is going to sound funny because most artists, a record deal is the end all be all. Well, we were settling for a record deal because we wanted to do everything independent. So we got to the point we said, you know what? To get this record out, we'll do a deal. You know what I'm saying? So the mixtapes was us buying time and maintaining interest so we can get still paying out,
Oh, wow.
So that was
mention the first album too, right quick, because you mentioned that was
We Paid Let Us In.
Yeah, and y'all wound up doing like a movie sort of based on
on that title.
With the same title.
Same title,
Yeah. So the director, Trezana McClendon, the director of We Paid Let Us In, The Legend of Abstract Mindstate, our documentary movie, our docu-movie, if you can call it. It was her idea. She came to us and asked, is it okay that she add that to the title? That's why as We Paid Let Us In, The Legend of Abstract Mindstate, because she just felt like that first album, the energy, I guess the title energy, I'll call it, the title energy of the first album was explained what the documentary was. So she was like, is it cool that I use We Paid Let Us In, but I want to say We Paid Let Us In, The Legend of Abstract Mindstate. And that's to tell you the story about us, So that's how that first release became also the name of our new documentary. So shout out to Trezana for even like wanting to connect that first title to the movie, you know what I'm saying, to the documentary.
Sure. And let me bring my man Dave in. He's my co-host.
What's up? What's
transmitting live from LA.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for being with us today. Your guys' story is an amazing one. I made sure I read the Chicago Reader article, and I'm sad I missed the movie when you guys were hosting it out here. I think the premiere of one of the hosting it out here.
I pick in LA, and over there in Westwood,
yeah. Well, let's get back to the story. I know Dave gonna have some questions in a minute, but let's get back to the narrative and everything. Like y'all made this move, this last ditch effort, as it were, and it didn't come through the way that you wanted it to, and it seemed like you guys sort of picked up with your lives, like EP. You could. There's some good features about this. I recommend for folks who haven't read one in The Ringer, one in Rolling Stone that led up to the release this summer of the album. But the Defender,
the Tribune,
the Defender, Dave mentioned the Defender, the Chicago media, of course,
rolling out.
Like I say, y'all got a lot of attention deservedly this year with the album, and for the sake of the audience here, kind of explain to us, because especially Ice-Gre and your story is particularly interesting to those who want to look at the music side of things. But EP, I think your story is just as interesting because of how real your story is and what you had to do to pick yourself up and survive in the years, between the mixtapes and stuff and putting out this album. So if you guys could just, let us in on that story and how you guys, maintained over that course of time.
Well, the thing about still paying and doing the mixtapes was, like you said, it actually was a last ditch effort to get that notoriety that we thought that we deserved and that we still think that we deserved back then. Sure. But what at the end of the day, the music part of it had taken over our lives so much that like outside of it, when that wasn't happening for us, we really had nothing else. And it led us to, you know, a unspoken separation as far as the music. And it was already something that, you know, that's ingrained in Gre, that he's gonna be in music, whatever happens, that's what he's gonna do. And he's a person that you know, when we met at Jackson State, like he finished at Jackson State, he got his degree at Jackson State, so he could always hang his hat on that, and I didn't, and I've always been a school person. I've always been a, you know, a school person, and like schooling, like going to class and stuff like that. But at the time, at the inception of Abstract Mindstate, like that took over. Like my focus was that, and it wasn't school. And so I ended up, when I left Jackson State, I didn't have a degree. And so when we had the unspoken separation, as far as musically, that's the only thing that I could think of to get myself on my feet, was to go back to school. And so to get on my feet, I had to go back to school, and my focus was my family, and finishing something that I started and being the first one to do it. And
first one to graduate college.
Yes. First one to graduate college, the first one to get 2 bachelors, first one to get a master's, you know. So it's my immediate family. Yes. So for me, that, like, I needed to show my brother's children something different. I needed to be a person that was making money for them, because he was no longer here. And so that became my focus, and that took over my life. And so while Greg was doing music with Ye, and I'll let him talk about that part with you guys, but while he was doing music with Ye, and living that life that he's always aspired to live, just outside of Abstract Mindstate, because I think it's always been music, but he wanted to gain these achievements and stuff with our group, you know. But when that didn't happen, he was able to, you know, connect with Ye, and still be an integral part of music, and of him putting out music, and of his success. And so that part of his life was being fulfilled, and the part of my life that I needed to be was being fulfilled as well.
Yeah. And like
and right quick, y'all had a great song on the album on Dreams Still Inspired, where you sort of compared your ways of life at a certain point. Like you were sort of going into how you were, doing your thing, EP, and Ice-Gre, you were sort of going into how you were, you know, making plans to go out to LA and do things, but you ain't always had the money to do those things, but you made do, and you know, that had to have been like some heady times for you, like running with a guy like Kanye West, and you know, working for his label and stuff like that. So let us know about how that came together, because Ye was a guy who, he was definitely aware of you guys when you were in Chicago in your first run and everything, and he, you know, I think you collaborated with him and stuff, and you know, but you know, how did it get to be where you were part of his good music movement and all that?
Right. Well, okay. So taking it from the beginning, when I left Chicago after Steel Pan, like I say, after the funding for Steel Pan fell out, and we did a few mixtapes, because the funny thing is, we did volume 2 and volume 3 of Chicago's Hardest Working after Steel Pan. They both came out after Steel Pan. So again, we were trying to buy time. And after that, the amount of time went by, I was like, okay, something has to happen, because we got to get this Steel Pan project out. So I went to New York to, you know, it was that whole attitude, if hip hop is in New York, I'm going to New York. You know what I'm saying? So I went to New York I actually went out there to take a few meetings, try to create some interest for the group. And when I got out there, I took meetings with several record labels, and a lot of them, all of them knew us. Everybody thought we were signed, because like Abstract Mindstate was a group that the way we presented ourselves, things were so organized that something I learned later, we looked like we didn't need help, and we actually still needed a lot of help. But if you just looked at us and watched how we move, I mean, you got a independent unsigned group doing like 100 shows a year. We got merchandise, the most ridiculous amounts of merchandise, you know, in terms of like jackets, shirt, all various types of shirts, you know, everything from
sponsors, clothing sponsors.
Yeah. We had clothing sponsor. We had a clothing sponsor. We had so much. It just looked like the appearance was we didn't need any help. We didn't know that. We definitely didn't know people thought that until I got to New York. And, you know, New York was where the labels were. And the labels started telling me, man, ain't y'all signed? Y'all good. I done seen y'all in this many articles and this many magazines. And I'm like, well, yeah, you know, that's because I got a little skill with securing stories, or I know how to work that publicity thing because of my experience at Loud Records. So yes, we do have the press, and yes, you are seeing us, and yes, we are putting in work, but no, we need some help. And then, okay, so it started getting to that. So first, it was that first layer of me being in New York, trying to convince them that no, like, we need help. And before I can really get into it, before I get into like, oh, okay, and start like shaking them down and like really getting them into us. So in their little waiting period, trying to figure out what they want to do with us, Kanye found out I was there. Now, mind you, this sounds funny because this happened so fast. The second day I was in New York. Now, mind you, I was taking meetings like for the first couple of weeks I was there. But the second day I was in New York, I was hanging out with Cootie, because Cootie of Cootie and Chike of Creative Control. They got the Genius movie that's about to come out in February on Netflix. We hanging out, and at that time, it sounds funny, but I was about to be the new host of Channel Zero. That was Cootie's platform. Him and Danny DNA of that was their platform at the time. You know, it still is. Channel Zero is still a real thing, but I was about to be the new host because Cootie was transitioning into something else. And he told me, man, I talked to Kanye, and he told me, and this is where the story connects. He's like, I talked to Kanye and told him you was out here. And at that moment, I said, oh, man, I forgot Ye was out here. You know, he's like, yeah, he want me to bring you to his crib. And I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, let's do that. And we went out to his crib. At the time, he was living in Newark, New Jersey, in the hood. He was living in the hood. And
so was this like pre-Blueprint or something?
This was after the Blueprint, very, very pre-college dropout. You know, very when I say pre-college dropout, nothing associated with college dropout was out or around being out or close to being out. We're talking Kanye was still waiting for checks. He was still waiting for some of his checks from the Blueprint. You get what I'm saying? Like we're talking before Blueprint 2. We're in that phase where Kanye is still waiting on money. You know, well, not when I say waiting, it's coming. He knew checks were coming, because that was one of the things when I'm about to lead up to what we talked about and how this connection happened. That was one of the things he said, man, I got these checks coming in from the Blueprint, and once I get some of those, I get into it. But anyway, so Cootie told me Ye is out there. We go out to Kanye's house. We hang out. We have a good time. Now, keep in mind, after Kanye produced us during our heyday, because he was on We Paid Let Us In. He was one of everybody who was hot in Chicago was on our first album, We Paid Let Us In. We featured,
and he was on Still Paying. He produced a song on Still Paying and rapped on Still Paying.
Yeah, he did. He rapped. Actually, he produced 2 songs on Still Paying and rapped on a song that he didn't produce. And he asked to get on there. And to this day, people think that song, Welcome to Chicago, they think that's Kanye's song. That's our song featuring him. Because that song has circulated and popped up on so many like Kanye compilations or songs you didn't know Kanye produced and this and that. And they always say it's a Kanye song featuring Abstract Mindstate, but that was an Abstract Mindstate song featuring Kanye, because it was produced by a dude named Absolute that was one of our producers at the time. Ye heard the track and asked, can he get on that song? He was like, man, this song is crazy. Who produced this? He said, I want to get on here. And that was dope, because for us, that was dope because we wanted to show that, okay, we may have the hottest up and coming producer at the time on our record, and he's not even on a track that's his own. So that was special at the time. And it's a couple of moments that was special. That was one of the times where Kanye didn't rap on his own track on somebody else's song. And that was the very, very, very first time we talking about Steel Pan that Kanye used the term Louis Vuitton Don. When he said, my name is Con, the Louis Vuitton Don, but I still might throw on a little low on. That was the very first time that started that whole Louis Vuitton Don nickname he had on our record. But because the record never came out and only press copies circulated, so it still got out but didn't get out because we had sent press copies out for review. So we got reviews and every magazine and publication got it, but you know, we didn't really make a mark or it didn't get stamped because it didn't come out as planned, you know. So that was that record that's been sitting in the vault forever until we put it out earlier this year, at the top of this year or the bottom of last year, when we put all of our music on Bandcamp. You know, we put our entire discography on Bandcamp just so people can enjoy the songs and connect with us and see what we were doing and see the level in which we were doing it before this record. The whole
I'm gonna definitely hop over on Bandcamp then. I didn't know
everything we've ever recorded. I'm talking about our very first demos are on there, like everything. You know?
That's cool.
And the fortunate part about us is it just happened to be because we had a very technical producer in our life at the time. It just so happened that our first piece of work as Abstract Mindstate, we started off in major studios. Like everything was, you know, wasn't no rinky dink. Our stuff sounded like high level professional from the beginning. So our demos sound like an album because of the level of the studios we got to work in.
This is before y'all were even done with school.
This is before we were done with school.
Yeah,
you know,
we were working with Andy C.
Yeah, we was working with Andy C, and you know, we were still at Jackson State University. And it'll remiss me. I just gotta say shout out to Jackson State. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all got a lot going on down there right now.
You know, we SWAC champions. You know, shout out to Coach Prime. Shout out to our alma mater. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our, you know, we alumni. I should say we alumni of that joint. And we just
got to HBCUs.
Yeah, HBCUs everywhere. We just got that recruit. You know, we killing it right now. So I couldn't even keep talking without saying shout out to Jackson State University. You know what I mean? But anyway,
D I love
all day. I believe, but
that's great. Let me say right quick that you know, because we do a lot of sports here, so I definitely follow. You know, I work in sports a lot, so I definitely am glad to see what's going on with the HBCUs and with Jackson State in particular, and what he did to flip the kid that he got from Florida State. That was amazing. So
that was amazing.
Y'all got it popping in. Y'all got the big game this weekend with South Carolina State. So
exactly.
Shout out to Jackson State.
Hey man, it's a lot going on with J State, and now that we're about to find out, like, what Abstract Mindstate is connected with J State. Yes, sir. Abstract Mindstate was born, bred, created.
Y'all both Chicago natives.
Yes.
But we met at Jackson State.
And you met down there.
Jackson State. Jackson State is the reason you guys have Abstract Mindstate right now.
That's right.
So not only did we win the SWAC champion, not only did we get Coach Prime, not only did we get that recruit, but y'all got Abstract Mindstate because of Jackson State. So shout out to J State.
Another one on the board for y'all, man.
That's right.
Yeah, man. But like I was saying, you wanted to know like how that connection happened. So just to try to speed that up. So what happened? I went out there to try to get Abstract Mindstate a new situation. Connected with Kanye through Cootie. He reminded, he kind of reminded me that Kanye was there. Because keep in mind, I kept in touch with Kanye when he moved to New York for about 6 months. And then we kind of lost contact because Abstract Mindstate, EP and I, we got really busy. He started getting busy. And, Ye wasn't one of my main homies at the time. And we both we had built a love relationship, and we knew we was, feeling each other and considered each other friends, but we weren't in each other's lives long enough to where, like, I guess the attention span was there. Like after 6 months and we both got busy, we just lost contact. It was kind of natural. It wasn't nothing. And so then I got out there and he was like, yo, Ye wants, so Cootie take me to Ye house. Now I'm hanging out with Ye, and this is for those first few weeks of hanging out with Ye and taking meetings with record labels. Ye looks at me and he says, man, I'm trying to put a team together, and I need some help. And he literally said this to me. I'll never forget it. I'm almost quoting. I'm almost quoting him verbatim. He said, if you, he said, I need a team. I said, what you looking for, man? He said, I need some help. He said, man, if you do for me what you did for Abstract Mindstate, I'll be the biggest thing in hip hop. That's what he said to me. And when he said it, you got to realize Abstract Mindstate was still a real thing, alive and pumping. So I initially looked at him like, yo, like, okay. I was kind of taken aback a little bit because I'm saying to myself, oh, you want me to do what I'm doing for Abstract Mindstate for you? And I'm like, you telling me you're going to be the biggest thing in hip hop, but in my head, Abstract Mindstate is going to be the biggest thing in hip hop, right? But I looked in his eyes. It was almost like a Jamie Foxx joke when he said he looked in Prince's eyes and you got glamored or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I looked into Kanye's eyes and I was like, yo, this dude is serious. I was like, what he just said, he means it. Like, I could tell. I was like, and I was impressed by that because I'll be honest, and not to sound arrogant or narcissistic, I had never seen anybody that confident that believed in a dream as much as I did. And he sounded like a guy, like, I was like, yo, I was like, okay, this guy thinks like me. So now I'm interested. I'm saying, hold on, I can't just turn this down. Let me see where this is going. I said, well, because my ego felt tapped when he said he'll be the biggest thing in hip hop, because I'm still actively with my group, and we're hotter than him at the time, you know. And so I'm saying
more people knew you than
more people knew us than him at this moment right here. And I'm saying, okay. So I said, well, yo, I said, So I'm still a businessman, and I'm still trying to think smart because like EP told you, I always wanted to be a part of something big. And it's very clear. I'm like, okay, you over here with Rockefeller, the hottest entity that was popping at the time. You know, but they don't know that you're a rapper, and they don't know you really want to get on. And I actually do have the codes and know how to do things to help get you there. So the first thing I said to him was, who's running your production company? And because I was trying to find a better title for myself than just like assistant, you know what I'm saying? Because he told me, man, I need an assistant. And I'm like, oh, that just sounds like a bite. Like, I'm old school Ice-Gre from Abstract. You want me to be your
like you be running cheesecakes.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it kind of felt like that. But again, that was just, you know, the mind, the ego, the hip hop ego, the MC in me. I was like, So I said, who's running your production company? He was like, Conman, it was called Conman Productions.
Yeah.
He said, Conman. I said, yeah. He said, nobody. I said, well, make me head of business affairs of Conman, and I'll be your personal assistant. And he said, okay, but nobody is signed to Conman but me. And I said, so what? You know, I was like, so what? He was like, all right, we can do that. If you go help me, we can do that. I said, yeah, let's do it. So my title, and I still have the cards to this day. I have a stack of cards that never got used in the rubber band, and I held on to them. And it says head of business affairs / personal assistant, and then in Conman Entertainment and all my information, you know, because I was like, and he literally moved me in with him. Like, and this happened after a few studio sessions, and he saw how I moved around in the studio. And he said, man, I'll never forget, he looked at me and when we were in a session with Hezekiah Walker's choir, and we were working on 2 words. A lot of people don't know how many choirs he went through for 2 words. I think I want to say ultimately the boys choir of Harlem ended up on the album. But he went through a lot. Am I right? Okay, Dave.
That's right.
Okay. So
it's my favorite song of the album. So
right. So imagine this, Dave. It's early 2 words. I'm in the studio while he's trying to get the choir part of, you know, the hold your hands up high, ooh, all that. We doing all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm helping him through that. And when I say helping him, at the time, Ye was very he's still as passionate about it, but then he wasn't as groomed in like the technical approaches or how to even talk to the people, because he was such a creative. He just wanted what he wanted. So honestly, Ye talked a little reckless to them. You know, he was just like, no, that's not, you know. And mind you, I grew up in the church, and I'm like, oh man, this is the choir in here. Ye is like going crazy. So I would like kind of politely cut him off and step over him, and I'll hit the talk back button like, look, this is what he's looking for. He wants you guys to, and I was using all these terms like moat the vocals at this point and blah blah. And they like, oh, okay. So they was under, and he like every now and then he just look over at me like, it was almost like, and Ye is like this, you know, this like I want to say like what was that on the Wu-Tang Cave? He's a psychopathical thinker, you know. So he was like, you know what I'm saying? He was like a psychopathical thinker, and like I could see him looking at me like, what? So by the end of that session, he said, man, I didn't know you knew your way around the studio like that. And I was like, yeah, bro, I live in the studio. Like, I'm a studio rat, actually. You know, I said I'm an artist, but, you know, all of my friends are engineers and producers. So I'm pretty comfortable in the studio. Not that I touch any of this stuff. I just know all the terms, and I'm heavy in it because I used to, you know, be in a band with my cousin and play drums and all of this stuff. And he was like, oh, man. He was like, look, man, what? He said, man, if I could pay you to just hang out with me, because we were doing, Cootie and I were doing this promotion for Hawaiian Punch at the time. It was called the Clownin' Around Tour. And we were introducing a couple of Hawaiian Punch's new flavor at the time. It was something called Greenberry Rush. I don't even know if that's still around, but and that was a fun promotion because we would go in neighborhoods and just give away sodas and throw all these little promotional items out the truck. And we was in an ice cream truck that was souped up with rims. It had 1,600 watts of sound. And it was funny because I never forget, we used to go into the projects and stuff and play the Abstract Mindstate album. We used to always play Steel Pan, and then we had microphones, so I would rap my part, you know, so it was crazy. So we actually was promoting ourselves in New York, our new album in New York, through this ice cream truck promotion or whatever. Or it was an ice cream truck. It was actually a Hawaiian Punch truck. But anyway, the point is, Ye told me he wanted to take my days from me, and he would pay me just to hang out with him and like do the same thing I did, just, you know, in the studio. So I was right next to him. And that's what built the relationship, to answer that question with he and I. Like, you know, it built a relationship, and it became that. And I ended up becoming later the first A&R of Good Music. And that relationship with he and I, me being like an A&R and always a creative like collaborator or somebody in his life, that carried on for the next, like, you know, it's been almost 22 years, about, you know, close to 22 years with us now.
Now, you know, I could ask a million questions about that too. I don't want to derail the interview with questions about him, because this is y'all interview and y'all, you know, y'all deserve to focus. Right. One thing I do want to ask you though is that, having known him from back in that time when he was, like, say, struggling, and well, not struggling, I say, but he was on the grind in Newark and doing these things, and he had that vision for himself. To know him back then and see where he's come now.
He's the same person. The same exact person.
I see the way that I can share their feelings too, because it's like it's almost impossible for anyone who didn't know him, doesn't really know him, to think that. But you say he's exact same person. Why do you say that? Exact
same person? It's just on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Like, so it's the microscope is there. Yeah. Like, but he's the same. He's the same hustle. He does not, like, everything that he does, he wants to be the best at it. Yeah. And that's always been the case. Yeah. And he is. I mean, honestly, I mean, if we're looking at the accolades, the monetary value of what he has underneath his belt, yeah, he is. And he doesn't, like, he's exactly the same. It's just that he has these different avenues now. You know,
but you know, to counter that a little bit, like, I'm definitely not arguing or nothing, but it's noticeable to me the way like recently when he went on the Drink Champ show, and he sort of like I know I thought sometimes seem like he's performative in some way, but he said things like, he was sort of dissing cats who he came up with in some way, like not came up with from Chicago, but like other cats like Kweli and stuff like that, and what he said about Big Sean and stuff like that. Like to me, it seemed like that's a cat who, that's the type of thing that a cat would do when they're being, sometimey or sort of like, willing to change up. Like with you in particular, Ice, how is the relationship for y'all been over that whole time where, so much has changed for him and you've been relatively, compared to him, just a regular guy, but
Right.
has he always remained to relate to you in the same way?
No, because Kanye, like one of the things about him is because of the level of success that he's achieved, one of the things that I've even talked to EP about is, I said, man, I think sometimes Kanye forget that everybody is not in the same position as him because he's so comfortable in his space. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, I mean, like, it's just simple things like the way he move or how quick he can move. I'm like, man, we can't move that fast. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you have a few perks and conveniences that allow you to do things a lot faster than a normal human being. But because he's in his own world, oftentimes he expects things to move the same speed or the way he does, and that can cause these little these little riffs or comments that he make about some of the people that he absolutely loved, that is clear he loved them and they love him as well. But that's what happens because Kanye's position or his lifestyle has been so consistently, I use the word fantastic. It's been so consistently fantastic that sometimes even he gets lost in it and don't realize, man, everybody is not living your life, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we are still regular. And I'll say this, and probably EP will say this probably faster than anybody. I am the regular in his life. Like, I think every time he look at me, or, what happens with the dichotomy between he and I is, when he looks, it's like, oh yeah, that's, that's Gre. That's the regular, like, cause I'm like the most regular guy around him. Cause let's be honest, out of all of the crew, I'm not the one that's into that fashion thing. I'm not the one that's into all of the cars.
You wouldn't have been in that picture in Paris with
I'm not. You see what I'm saying? And mind you, let's keep it 100. Those my guys in those pictures, though. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Those my guys, like Don C, love Don C, Iben, all of those guys. I was cool with Virgil. I'm not a guy that's gonna play, rest in peace to Virgil. I'm not gonna play up shit with Virgil for clout, because I was cool with Virgil, but like Iben and all and Don and all the A and all them, they were guys. They was guys. Like they was bruhs. Me, I was just cool with Virgil, So I mean, he was part of our family. I watched Virgil come into our clique. Virgil was the new guy, and then me and Ye had our little time of separation. And when I say time of separation, let's be clear, it was no like beef or fallout. It's just sometimes I go do what I need to do, and he and I just lose contact. And this was one of those times, and that's when Virgil spent the most time with them. When I just wasn't in his life for whatever reason. To this day, that's a question that maybe one day I ask him, like, man, what were we doing in those? Because it's like 5 years went by, and me and him just wasn't in contact for any particular reason at all. You get what I'm saying?
And you know what? But that brings me now into, and you said it came through so perfectly when you said that you were like the regular in his life, or you were that grounding force. Like what it bringing it back to the album now. From the reports and everything, he was first inspired to work with y'all through listening to the old mixtapes and stuff, and he was inspired to make beats that wound up on this album apparently through listening to y'all's. Like, so that was
inspired. He was inspired to put us out.
Right.
So and he knows what he wants to hear from us. Right. And that's and the beats actually were from batches of beats that he worked up for those 7 those 7 projects, or what should have
Right,
been.
when he was in
projects.
when he was in Wyoming, yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes. So no, the inspiration to put us out came from listening to the mixtape, because of what he heard on the mixtape, and he thought that the world needed to hear that the world was ready to hear that type of music again.
Yeah.
But
that'd be kind of humbling though, to like think of that, like because at this point y'all are not making music together, y'all not doing, you know, Abstract Mindstate isn't a thing at that particular point. Right. But you found, you know, this work that you did managed to inspire, you know, however you want to put it, it managed to inspire.
That's God breathed.
Incredible art. Yeah,
that stuff, that things like that are God breathed. Right. That's nothing that we were thinking about. That's nothing that we discussed. He was living his life, I was living my life. Yeah, like that was just it. The music was not a part of my life at all. That's how I know that this project is God breathed, and it's something divine intervened, and the music speaks to that.
Yeah, you guys' story is like a TED talk. I mean, you know, if you read the article, I mean, it really is.
No, that's dope. I agree.
I mean, I think that's something that, if anything to be taken from it, is, you know, that one, you can, you know, still, I guess, reconnect with what you love doing, and still, you know, there's no sunset on what your shine is, you know, time to shine is.
I like how it works.
When he first came to y'all about, you know, how did that first spark with when it got from him, you know, listening to the Abstract Mindstate stuff to broaching it with y'all? Like, how did that come apart? Come together?
After listening to it, after listening to the mixtape, because he was in writer's block. My cousin actually had called Gre in the middle of a session and told him to listen to the mixtape, but my cousin would do that all the time. Yeah. And sometimes Gre would listen to it and sometimes he wouldn't. But this time my cousin was persistent and tell man, listen to it. So we got off the phone and listened to it. And by the time he listened to it, he had went through the album. He had went through the mixtape twice. And after he listened to it, it made him want to write. So in the middle of Kanye's writer's block, my cousin sent Gre this music that made him want to write. So the correlation is that he felt like, man, this will make Ye want to write too. Because if I want to write, I know it'll make Ye want to write. So that's what happened. It not only made Ye want to write, but it made Ye want to put Abstract Mindstate back out. Right. And so I'm talking about all of this happened within the course of 24 hours. Yeah. You know, Gre played it for him at 3 PM. At 6 the next morning, he was calling the man, listen, guess what I want? I got who gonna kick off Yeezy Sound? Tiana Taylor and Abstract Mindstate. Yeah. And Gre his whole face like to hit the floor. So it took Ye 15, 20 minutes, however long, 30 minutes to convince him that it was a real thing. Then Gre called me and convinced me 15 to 30 minutes it was a real thing. That was like a Monday. I was in LA on a Saturday having a meeting.
See, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how long did it take to convince you? Because you were more grounded in
time. She said it perfectly. It was about the same amount of time, and you know,
I understand, but it's sort of surprising to me that it took that quick, because it didn't take that much time. Because
it took that.
Well, that was just fun. It was that much time for me to be clear. It took that much time for EP to believe that I wasn't playing with her. Yeah. Okay. She thought I was calling her joking. Like, imagine if I called you, Dave, if I called you and say, yo, Ye wanna make you the face of Yeezy Gap. You
Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. Thank you. There we go.
Those were my words to Gre.
Those were her exact words.
Those were my exact words.
I
said, get the fuck off my phone. Stop playing with me.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go to work. I was getting ready to go to work. Shit. But
that story is funny to me because it reminds me of we all being in music or being in entertainment. We've heard the stories of when people got their Michael Jackson call or their Prince call or whatever, and they hung up.
And they don't think it's that.
And they end up hanging up on them. Well, if this was equivalent, when EP like, man, get the hell out. You know, it just took a little while for me to be like, no, EP, I'm not joking like this. I'm not playing with you. 15, 20, 25 minutes later, you know.
Wow.
So that's what I'm just saying.
Like for me, it wasn't like it couldn't have. I took the meeting. I went to LA because it was Ye. I listened to Gre talk about this because it was Ye. And nobody else. Abstract Mindstate wouldn't have came back out for anybody else. It just wouldn't have happened. So.
It definitely see. I can see now, man. It's amazing. Like Dave says, it's like a TED talk. It's sort of like there's some fantastical elements to it too. Like it's like you say, God, you know, God breathed something into this.
God definitely. This was all whatever we did in the spirit of good in the universe. God used Kanye to bless us. You know what I'm saying? Like he worked straight through Kanye and blessed us. Because sometimes the things that Kanye did and how he did it, sometimes I like to say he was like in an unconscious state. And by the time he woke up, he had done it already. God had just used him like a puppet. You know what I'm saying?
And to that, with that said, like this is the last thing as far as like sort of, you know, digging into that whole relationship. Like, you know, he's a divisive guy. A lot of people have strong opinions on him.
You have to be to achieve that level of success. You have to be meticulous in what you do.
I see Dave.
You know what? He you can see like the Steve Jobs in him. Like so I totally understand that.
But I say with that said, like for y'all know so much more to him than what most people get through the tabloids and everything like that. Like, is it ever awkward, like when just existing out in the world or online and stuff, when people, you know, like say they formulate their opinions and they say what they say about him, and you know he does things. He does things like.
It would be awkward if we didn't know him, if we didn't know what was the truth and what wasn't. Like that those encounters in those moments when we're together in the room with him, all of those questions are already answered because we know the truth, because we've been there. We've been with him. Well, while we were doing the project, Kyle and Dave, there were all these things popping up about a rift between him and his dad. His dad would be sitting right there. Like his dad, he would literally leave and go visit his father, right, Gre? Like his dad, he would literally leave and go spend time with his dad, but he not talking to his daddy. Him and his daddy don't talk. You know,
this is the news. She's saying this is in the news.
For me,
For
me, I can say for me, the experience made me learn what media is. Gre had been around it so long that he didn't have any revelations. There were no revelations about the media because he had already been in that position so long. And he would probably look at that shit and look at them stories and like laugh and like, look at these fucking fools. But for me, it was a whole new thing being around that level of stardom, being around that level of success, and the people that were also around us. You know, like it would be these different stories popping out and stuff. And I just left the studio with the man, so I know this didn't happen. You know, so we'll go back to your point. Like, is it awkward? No, because you know the truth and you know the man. So no.
I'll see it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, like I say, we bring it back to now. It's 2021. You about to put out this album. Like, how long was the process in actually making the album?
The album, we actually wrote and recorded the album probably over the course of a year. Like over the course of a year, you know. And by the time, you know, 10 to 12 months were complete, we were pretty much done with the album. Now, what happened was Kanye would keep coming back to us with more tracks. Because it was, I'll be honest, I can say this, man. Kanye showed so much excitement to our project during this time. Like, he was like, because, you know, mind you, the funny thing about this record was it was similar to the first time when he recorded with us with We Paid Let Us In. And if you could have been there, the way he sat in the studio and how focused he was and how detailed he was about every little thing about the song that he did with us, this time it's a whole album. So now he's kind of nitpicking at every little
He produced
thing.
the album.
Yeah, he really produced it. Now he didn't just
give y'all the beats.
It wasn't about beats.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't to give these guys some beats. No, he was nitpicking our lines and whatever the hook was, and he knew, oh man, you can write you can come with something better than that, like, or hey y'all, you know what, EP you ain't stay on topic on this one, like go redo this one. Gre, you could have came with a better verse than there. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna switch y'all verses around on this one. I'm gonna put EP first and you second. Like he was just really like a producer, man. He was dissecting and ripping this thing up. So that whole process happened over the course of a year. And people think, because everybody always hear us say, the album was recorded in 2018 and they like it didn't come out to 2021, where it was recorded in 2018 and 2019. In 2018 carrying over into 2019.
Exactly.
So it was like how the year, it was in the middle of the year. So 2018 carrying over to 2019, then the rest of 2019 to 2020, we were clearing samples. And so, it took a whole nother 10 months to clear samples after we were done. So we in the middle of, we're in the middle of 2020 or whatever. And we started clearing samples all the way up until 2021. We were still clearing samples
in May. In March.
Yeah,
in March.
March.
We at the last one cleared,
like
the end of March, maybe beginning of April.
Yeah, March, April. March, April 2021. We have finally got all the samples cleared, and then we were able to. Now we can discuss a release date. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
And we couldn't actually going to be on the project.
Yeah,
And that speaks
y'all got to excuse me a minute. I got to use the washroom. I'm drinking a lot of water.
Okay.
What you about to say, Kyle?
Well, with that said about the samples and everything, that speaks to a lot of the narrative surrounding this album. Primarily it comes from the fact that we were getting that quote unquote old school,
that old
sound, and the old So it's like,
so here's the funny thing about that. I just say Abstract Mindstate because that sound was always our sound. Like all you got, that. Go back and dig into the discography, and all of our music is going to be reminiscent of Chicago soul, because all the producers produced with that Chicago soul sampled kind of style. Kanye just made it famous because you got to think about it. His mentors were people like No ID and Andy C and a couple of others, but if you look at the early Doug Infinite work and all, everybody used the soul samples. That was a Chicago producer sound. It's always somebody who makes it famous. So he was the one. But my point is, what I was trying to say is, that I think Ye was ready to give the world that sound again for the Wyoming sessions, because again, I was the one that actually went sample shopping with him to the record store, digging in the crates, pulling out the records that later ultimately end up becoming our album. But they wasn't for us at that time. At the time he and I was shopping, it was for the 5 projects. It was for the Wyoming sessions. It was for Kid Sequels, Tiana Taylor, Pusha T, Nas, and the Ye album called Ye. So the funny thing is, a few weeks before, about a couple of months before that official Wyoming sessions that became the recording sessions for all of those 5 EPs, those 5 7-song EPs that we put out that year, we had already started doing what we call music excursions, and we were getting away to Wyoming just so Ye could chop up. So now he's sitting on the ASR 10, and that's what I like to tell a lot of people. I was sitting right next to him in the living room of this cabin mansion that we were staying in all the time out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming at the time before Cody, and Kanye was chopping. So that sound, he was already back to that sound, and I think his plan was to use those 7-song EPs for each one of them to bring back the soul, so to speak. But the way Kanye is, the more they were getting into the music and recording, he started, the evolution and things started changing. So now he has all of this batch of music that some was used, some wasn't, some may have been used but altered, a lot was used and then built upon, and then it started not sounding like the stuff that he initially started out with. So by the time it got to us, we were picking from the raw, chopped up tracks that was left over, which was like 300 or so beats. And he told us, hey, here, he curated.
Here you go. Here go y'all. Pick your album. Find, what did he say? Find your album.
He said, find your album. He curated. He went through these 300 beats and found about 100, and then told us to find our album in that 100. Once he dwindled down to 300 to about 100, that he felt like this is what my ear here is Abstract Mindstate. Now you all find in this 100 what really is abstract.
And I know, hey Dave, Cal, I know this gonna make y'all smile. We have a whole nother album, finished songs.
I love to hear that.
We got a whole album. We recorded 27 songs and only put 11 on Dream Still Inspire. So there you go.
That's just what we want to hear there, man. So looking forward now, like say y'all got the Midwest Marauders tour that you're going on in 2022. Yeah. So are you planning to put out that music in conjunction with the tour?
Well, we gonna ride this album.
Yeah, man. Like it's no. You know what? Let me be clear and say this while everybody listening. Man, everybody move too fast with music, man. Y'all, the world is overly consuming music. Like our album is brand new. Our album just dropped.
We on our second video.
We on our second video. Our album dropped August 6th. It's only December.
Yeah.
You know what?
You know what I'm saying?
Like I'm programmed too in a lot of ways because some of my favorite artists they put out. Like I listen to cats like Currency or West Side Good.
Right.
And they put out albums every 2 months.
And you know what? Shout out to them for that. But I think the machine caused that. And when I say the machine, as record labels start getting more and more lost in how to push us as artists, they start demanding more output. Yep. So artists start putting out they went from 1 album a year to 2 albums a year to 4 albums a quarter every quarter somebody putting out an album. So now people have 4 albums or 4 mixtapes a quarter. And that's kind of ridiculous. I remember we used to put an album out and people used to rock their album for about 2 years. New Edition, when they put out Any Heartbreak, that album, they rocked that album for 2 years. Think about people, Belle Biv DeVoe, like all of the 90s stuff. They were rocking those albums for a year plus. Because first of all, you have to put the record out, let the singles do what they do, and you putting out singles every 3. This is how it is. You put out a single every 3 months. Every 3 months. Let it breathe. Yeah. Then they start doing spot dates. Then they go on tour, and before you know it, by the time they finish the tour and enjoying the
album, 2 years old.
2 years have been and went by, and it's like so people constantly ask us in this interview, like, man, will we get any new music? Yes, y'all gonna get Dream Still Inspire. It's a brand new album. It's brand new.
Y'all gonna get a few more videos because we already got another one shot.
Yeah.
So it's like, tell everybody right quick what are the videos that are out now.
So the first single was Wise Tale, so as a video for that. The second single that just came out, Move Your Body, video for that too.
Yeah, and it's featuring a Wise Tale was funny because we got to live out one of our 80s fantasies because it's a video for a group called Aha, and they have a song called Take On Me where they use the little sketch animation where the dude looks like he's pencil drawn. And we always liked that. And I always thought that was a super creative idea. So we got to play with that idea in 2021. And that's how A Wise Tale has that vibe. So that was pretty fun. But Move Your Body is featuring the world famous Tony Williams, who has a few hot joints out right now himself. And that one is like the director Neeson, who did both of our videos, or so far he's done all of our videos, because we have another one we shot already that's coming, but we'll talk about that later. But Move Your Body, Neeson's idea was to meet where Harlem Nights meets Black Mirror, And what he was saying was the vibe of Harlem Nights with the real clean speakeasy tuxedo, vibe in a speakeasy or cabaret environment meets the technology of Black Mirror, like specifically the social media episode of Black Mirror, where your stats and everything that you do can be affected, and your life got screwed up based on your stats. That was just the Black Mirror episode. So he kind of played off both of those to create Move Your Body music video, which is that's brand that's as brand new as our album. Move Your Body just came out on the 30th of last month. So yeah, man, that's
you look like you ain't seen the video.
Nah, I look back at it because actually what helped me. I looked at the first one, actually the Wise Tale, and actually I got to shout out Greenweeds because he actually helped me get in contact with y'all with your managers. So that's part of what got me to be able to book y'all in the first place. So
Greenweeds is family, man. The family. Yeah, and it's called A Wise Tale, not The Wise Tale. That's just
I knew you was gonna do it, boy. That's why I ain't do it, because I knew you was gonna do it.
he said you heard me.
He said
The Wise Tale. I was like,
I know.
A Wise Tale.
My bad. But yeah, I'm just glad to be able to help y'all promote what y'all got going on, man. And
thank you.
It's like I said, y'all really had a great story that needs to be amplified. And I guess the one thing I wanted to just get a word from y'all before we wrap up, though, is like I said, given what all y'all been through and what all y'all seen, the wins and the losses y'all took in life, and to get to this point where y'all got this nice moment again for yourselves, like what are some of the main lessons, or just the main things that you've taken from this past year and these recent times, and what do what is some of the advice that you would give to people out there who haven't quite lived their dreams yet and are still fighting for them?
Find out what your dream is. Find out what. See, the thing is, a lot of people have dreams of doing things that's not what God has for them. A lot of people want to do things that's not their niche, right? You need to find out what your purpose is first. Once you find out what your purpose is and you hone in on that, whatever your purpose is, you need to sharpen it. And then once you find out what it is and you sharpen it, everything else will fall into place. It just happens. It just happens.
And one of the things I would say, because something you said, I want to speak to, I say one of the things that caught me off guard with this was, it caught me off guard, and it was pretty dope at the same time, has been the appreciation since we dropped this record. And man, EP will tell you, man, it was a guy walked up to me in Ann Arbor. I mean, people, and when we did the gig with Slum Village in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and he was like, yo, man, I've been knowing about y'all since, he said the mixtapes and stuff like that. Man, y'all legends. Y'all been killing it and shot for some years. And I was like, yeah, and it was just amazing to finally meet the people that we probably touched years ago. That when you be wondering who are these people that saw you on the blogs or maybe read your story, we're getting a chance to actually see those people now outside of Chicago. And what this social media thing has done for us, Mitch, again, me and EP, we speak on it in the song Social Media. Yes, we have a love-hate relationship with social media, which is why we just, chose to make it a conversation so we can talk about it and bring about make it a conversation. But anyway, one of the things that social media has blessed us with, though, was the ability to hear from like the entire world, because we didn't heard from people. EP will tell you, we've heard from people in so many strange, distant places that's like absolutely huge supporters of us. And bigger than that, for us to be, the elders in this, we're like the newest group that's the newest elders. Like I had a book signing because I definitely need to mention this. I just dropped
fifth. I was going to bring your book up.
I just dropped a book called "I Refuse to Quit: The Autobiography of a Dreamer," which everybody please pick up on IRefuseToQuit.com. IRefuseToQuit.com. But anyway, at my book signing, I had a book signing meet and greet at the Soho House in Chicago this past week. And my moderator of the event is Dr. Gerard McClendon, one of the most dynamic human beings on the planet. He jokingly called George Daniels, who always supports everything we do and I do. He was at the book signing, and George, he said, I mean, y'all got to give it up for the oldest teenager in the world, Mr. George. And so I jokingly,
Uncle George everywhere, man.
Yeah, George is everywhere.
You see him everywhere.
You know, and he called him the oldest teenager. So I'll say, just playing off of that, I'll say it's so dope to be the youngest elders in the game. That's me and EP. We're the youngest elders. You know what I'm saying, in the game, like, because we're you know, we're straight up golden era individuals, and we are the elders, but we're getting our first run officially the way we should have, or the way we deserve to. I'm not gonna say should have, the way we deserve. We're getting what we deserved or what we worked for now in our elder state. And it's fun, man, because I told EP this the other day, and I'll say it to you right now, Kyle, watching us at the Promontory show on video and seeing myself, because I study us, seeing myself and EP on that stage, man, we look better now than we did any of our shows at 20 some years old. Like in terms of how fit we look, like in terms of, you know, how sharp we were. I was very impressed with how good we looked on stage at this point in time. And like we started the interview out saying how nervous we were to step back out there after all this time. Once it happened and I got to look at the tape, I was like, wow, we really look good. And we sound good too. We didn't lose that thing that made us special. Everybody always talked about how clear everybody always said our clarity was everything. You know, you can actually hear us. And we still did that. So it was great.
That's what's up. I hope y'all do another show or two in Chicago. You know, coming up.
It's part of the tour.
It's part of the tour. The Midwest Marauders tour. Chicago is in the tour. So we'll be back, you know. Yeah, but those days were necessary. We got to, you know, shake it off. We got to shake the cobwebs off and show ourselves more than anybody, because we wasn't trying to show anybody anything. I think we showed ourselves that, you know, Abstract Mindstate is still a thing. That was, you know, that was the best part for me. We showed ourselves. We still got it, you know.
Dave, let me see that baby.
Yeah, Dave baby making a cameo. I don't know what's up with the screen though, Dave. We can't see you.
Because I'm doing my phone. I was
Okay.
on my phone.
Okay.
That's the reason why you can't really see him, but he's asleep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like I said, we wish you could show you the baby. If you look back on one of our, I think our last episode, he was on there though.
Well, I saw a little earlier, a little piece of him. He got
you saw a little bit of hair.
Yeah, I saw a little bit. Yeah.
That's the boy.
Yeah.
I saw him. Yeah.
Baby Idris, shout out.
Yep. Look, shout out to the young one, you know, and shout out, you know what, as a matter of fact, shout out to Slum Village, RJ and the whole Slum Village's whole crew over there for like
another legendary group,
you know, who for even taking the time, man, to feel like the idea of Abstract Mindstate and them would be a good package for the world. You know, it was something me and young RJ played with, and it's what started off as like kind of like a joke. When I say kind of a joke, I was serious when I tossed it out there, but not serious like let's do it. It was more, I was just joking. I was kind of like, yo, what's up with that AMSV package? And young RJ like, well, what's up? What y'all want to do? You know, and it was just like, ha. I thought I was cracking a little joke. I thought I was being, you know, I was joking, and it turned into something real. So shout out to Big RJ and Slum T3 and young RJ, man, for you know, creating, you know, being okay with the idea and creating a platform to give Abstract a opportunity to stretch our legs and get out here with them. And it was their idea to make this a co-headline show. You know, even in Chicago, they tried to give us the closing spot, and I was like, nah, we don't have to do that, man. Like, y'all Slum Village, y'all didn't put in the work. Like, we'll just get out here and warm it up, and heat it up, and y'all do y'all thing, and we always crack jokes with each other because I was like, I want to watch y'all anyway, and they always like, no, RJ like, no, we want to watch y'all, so it was fun, man. Those 2 days felt like it gave us a taste of what the Midwest Marauders tour be like, because it's a lot of love. Those guys, they Detroit guys, man. They soulful. Yeah. So, Dream Still Inspire has created some real cool 20-some-year-old opportunities and dreams and fun for us. So we get I think by the time we finish the tour, we're probably gonna be younger than we were when we started.
But you still gonna be old school though, ain't you?
I still be old school Ice-Gre, because let's be clear, old school Ice-Gre is a term of endearment and respect. So I added old school to my name to pay respect and homage to the forefathers of hip hop who did it before me. So that doesn't have anything to do with like age or time or anything. It has to do with respect to the elders, respect to the forefathers of this culture. So I added that to Ice-Gre. So yeah,
and that's another reason why I'm glad that y'all got this platform for yourselves right now, and that y'all are reaping this success, man. The culture needs y'all, and if this music that sounds anything like the music y'all released already, man, I'm really gonna be looking forward to that, and we're gonna keep it rocking.
I don't think Dave know he not muted.
Yeah, I don't know if he.
No, he don't.
I don't know if you want to hear that, Dave. You might want to put yourself on mute.
Right on out.
At the mute.
You straight Goo Goo Gaga. It's okay though.
I'm back. Phone died, so had to move around. Yeah.
Well, you made it just back just in time. Then
time for the closing. Yeah, that's good. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, look at that guy with all that hair.
Yeah.
That's another guy who could be listening to y'all in 20 years as well.
Oh, so. Yeah, he definitely.
We'll teach him right.
Yeah.
Nah.
We'll teach him right. Yeah, he has to have appreciation.
So Cal, you in Chicago?
Yes. Yeah.
And you in California?
Yeah.
Greg is in California and I'm in Chicago.
Oh, wow. Right, yeah. That's how we do it.
So we
coast
got
to coast, LA to Chicago.
On this side.
Yeah. But once again, y'all, really appreciate y'all coming on the show. Like I said, wish y'all the best going forward. Look forward to everything. Definitely gonna be keeping up with everything that's attached to Abstract Mindstate going forward. Like I said, before we leave, anything else y'all want to plug or make sure that the people know about going forward?
Well, thanks for having us first, but go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thanks for having us. No, I mean
check out our social media. Connect with us on social media. Follow us on Spotify at Abstract Mindstate at Olskool _Ice-Gre, and that's OLSKOOL _ Ice-Gre. And then
you say all the music is on Bandcamp.
The entire discography, everything we've ever done, is on Bandcamp, our Bandcamp page. And please follow, subscribe, and like our YouTube page, the Abstract Mindstate YouTube page. We video for what we say EP, the video for a Wise Tale,
and Move Your Body.
Move Your Body is out. And EP, shout out your IG and your
at EPDA Hellcat HELLCAT.
Yeah, and we have a Facebook, so at Abstract Mindstate, it's / Abstract Mindstate. We had that, and man, my book, I Refuse to Quit: The Autobiography of a Dreamer, is out. Purchase a dream box if you're a super supporter. It's right there on iRefuseToQuit.com. And
that's part of why I titled the show "Never Give Up" today. So, that's inspired by y'all. Y'all inspired me in some specific ways, because I think people who follow me know I was ready to give up a lot of what I've been doing in journalism and interviewing and stuff. Like back in the summer, I was ready to pack it up. Man. And since then, I've been able to do things that I've never thought would be available for me to do anymore. Like
Yeah.
in the last 6 months, I've done a number of things like that. Like, and you know, it's just great to you know, have people like y'all to inspire through your music and through y'all moves, and I'm, you know, I'm trying to do the same thing myself. So I really appreciate y'all.
Hey man, you're doing the same thing. You got to take trying out. You're doing the same thing.
Yep.
So congratulations on all that. And you should definitely check out I Refuse to Quit. It's you know, it's
I'm gonna check it out.
It's a lot of inspiration in there. It's a lot of inspiration and motivation in there. So yeah.
For sure. Well, like I say, peace and blessings to y'all. Wish y'all the best in 22 and every all that going forward. So
yes.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you all for having us. It's appreciated.
Enjoy your evening, y'all, and
Wonder
and have a
Twins
happy
out.
yes, sir. Have a happy holidays and happy New Year.
All right.
You all too. Be safe.
Peace.
Yes.
Peace.
Dave, hold on for a minute, man. We're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
Let them go.
Yeah. So good show.
Yeah, man. I'm glad. I'm glad he's able to join us in the end, you and Idris, man. But
yeah, you know, as usual, you gotta maneuver to make things happen. It's you know, that's all. That's, you know, that's the life of when you got the little ones. But yeah, no, it was a great show. I mean, they're definitely inspiration. Hopefully they don't sell themselves too short. Kanye saw their value, and that's the reason why he, you know, put the work in. And he was apparently missing something in his life, so that's the reason why he probably reconnected.
Yeah, I mean, that's like that's really like, it's sort of heartwarming in a way. Like, you know, it's what they that's that line. It made me think that line in Brown Sugar's "The Grinch Who Stole Hip Hop." Like he was able to give him his heart back, you know. But
at least temporarily, and then I don't know, Olskool Ice-Gre probably can take credit for giving him his you know, his gospel appreciation, because apparently, you know, he didn't have a connection to the church before. Yeah,
definitely.
That's what it sounds like. So.
I'm glad we was able to get that show off, get that interview off the ground before the end of the year. And you know, it's like I say, if y'all like what we did here, man, just keep check back with other stuff we've done. You know, our Scott Zoo interview, you know, an interview with Rashid Hadi and Drez of Black Sheep. We did all that this year. Andre Vasquez, Greenweeds. You know, we did some dope stuff this year, and we gonna try to get some more, do even more in the coming year.
Yeah, you know, one thing that we forgot to mention when they was on is that Rashid Hadi is a Jackson State native, not a slight sidebar. I mean,
you know, he was. We talked about it a bit about it before you came on, because I told him I listened to their old mixtapes that are on Spotify, the Chicago Hardest Working mixtapes. Yeah. Chapter 13. They shout, all that. You know, Hadi did a lot of dope work on those mixtapes, so definitely check those out. You know, on Spotify. But yeah, that they got some. It's quite a bit of dope music has come out of Jackson State and that whole connection down there in Mississippi. So, you know, yeah, it continues to go on, because, you know, Hadi has been doing dope stuff, you know, to this day, and keeps doing it with you know, all our homies out there, Neek and Fillmore and all.
Gold Standard Collector, yeah,
Gold Standard Collector. So yeah, definitely. It's just that Chicago, man. That's a big part of what Chicago's got going for it on the hip hop scene. And these two, you know, like I say, a lot of it stems from the work that these two did going, you know, back 20 years ago.
Yeah, and happy to see they finally, you know, they're getting their shine now. And it, you know, for anybody out there who's still, you know, working and hasn't got their moment, I mean, hopefully that's something that inspires them to go, you know, to continue to push on. Always good to have the cosign though. I think that's probably one of the things that Kanye's absence from the city is probably, you know.
But that's what, like, that's a part of it too. Like if you stay true to what you do and you are, you know, like if you keep yourself about the work and the art, and you know, it's hard to is you know, eventually you're gonna get that shine because you know, even whoever you're gonna inspire, even those who have taken off and have gone in other directions, and you know, like I say, Kanye didn't have to give a damn about their type of music anymore, but eventually it was something that inspired him and made him break, you know, want to create with them, and it's got them to this moment that they have now. So it's, you know, it doesn't always happen that cleanly, but you know, you can find those moments for yourself if you, and it depends on what you're trying to get out of it and what your the goals is. Like EP say, you know, what's your purpose, what's your focus, you know, find that and work on it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I think that the unfortunate thing is the one thing that I probably would caution is that if you got talent and you got, you know, drive, don't necessarily look for the plug, be your own plug. And that's the one of the, you know, not to detour too much. That's probably one of the things I say I like about Gold Standard Collective. They haven't waited for a cosign from the city, a larger, you know, name. They didn't wait for a Kanye. They didn't wait for a Kanye. They didn't wait
Oh
for
yeah.
Common. They didn't, you know. Nah, I don't know who else to.
And you know what? That's actually, if there's one question, I was thinking about asking that question too. Like, but I kind of had it in the back of my head. Was like, how much is Kanye aware of Hadi? And
Which is, I mean, he's got. I mean, he can't be oblivious towards it. I mean, it's
yeah,
kind of like saying a
yeah,
Nas and a Ninth Wonder or a Jay-Z and a Sky Zoo. Like they know those people exist. The issue at hand is, I personally, if I was a Kanye, I see somebody like a Hadi like a threat. I mean,
yeah.
I can't remember, like something about Jay-Z, something Questlove asked Jay-Z why he didn't put Black Thought on, or something like
Yeah,
why you
yeah. I
and you
remember you
know,
mentioned that. Yeah,
and he was saying that just Black Thought is too much of a threat. And I mean, you know, Hadi is too much of a threat. I mean,
a
Hadi,
lot of
if
yeah,
if Hadi doesn't have an ego, and that's part of the reason why Kanye is that Kanye has a part. He has, you know, you got to have confidence to go along with your skill. You have to have like an extreme amount of confidence, and it's not saying, you know, of course, but
but
Kanye has a lot
Kanye
of
is a
extreme.
master class in self fulfillment.
Right. Exactly. And you have to, and I think that's the whole thing about it, is you have to have that mindset, you know, you know, bound with that, married with that skill. It can't just be one or the other.
Yeah,
I mean, you end up Jules Santana on the side of having like the confidence with no skill, or I mean, you end up the other side of it. It's just like, unfortunately, and I say really, until the Ghost Stand, you know, the Ghost Standard Collection, and you know, came to be, you kind of end up in a place where Rashid Hadi is, where you got to do who's mad talented, but who also
don't
is
have the
not one
confidence.
about, who doesn't have the, you know, the confidence to go out there,
Yeah,
and you got to have both. I mean, that's just kind of the reality of it. If you want to make it, you got to, you know, you got to have both. I mean, I think more importantly, it just goes to show how musically talented the city is. I think the only, you know, that, and I'm happy that we're kind of hopefully out of our place where we were, you know, giving the wrong people shine, or as much shine. I feel, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I,
I think I mean, you know, a lot of. I mean, you look at the charts and stuff, and the people who supposedly move needles from Chicago, and a lot of them are, you know, so a lot of them are problematic in some ways. But you know, we got a lot of people here who keep it true and who are about the art, not just about making noise or, you know, projecting some sort of, you know, Chirac, you know,
yeah,
type of image to the world. You know,
and,
it's not about that.
and even more, I think relevant is, don't, you know, don't be afraid to make your own lane. And I think, and when you
Yeah,
mentioned, and we didn't talk about Very Smart Brothers, but there's where people, you know, they're, you know, two guys that love to write, and they figure out a way to make their own lane. Like the same way musically, if you're not finding the support from the people higher up the food chain, and the reality of just the way the Chicago music scene appears to be, you're not going to always have an appreciation from the mainstream. Make your own lane. Find somebody who appreciates what you're doing, or who has the same mindset and doing the same work you're doing. Partner with them and make your own lane. Because there are people outside of there are people outside of the mainstream in other cities that's going to appreciate it. And to Ice-Gre's point, there are people in other cities and other countries who are going to rock with you, even if people locally. It takes the people locally a little bit of time to find on.
That's the power of media as it is today. You can put out stuff, and it's hard sometimes. You don't necessarily know the reach that you may have, but though we've done stuff that has gone all across the world. We don't necessarily know how much we've touched people across the world, but we may have, Greece, like Greece said tonight, he's able to find out more about the way that he's touched other people with his work by going out there and performing and doing music again, and that's a blessing.
I'll quote the famous graffiti artist Scheme and Wild Style, and he said, I didn't do this to get famous. I didn't do this to go to Paris. If that happens, so be it. But that's not what I'm in it for.
Yeah.
And I think that's when that's what you at your core, and I think that's what EP was talking about. If that's at your core and you putting in the work, success, you're gonna attract success.
Yeah. I kind of was trying to say that a little while ago. You said it much more succinct. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Like success, you attract it. That realness, you can attract it. That that earnestness, and that's when you have that sort of community about you. That brings a fulfillment that all types of riches and wealth and stuff don't necessarily bring you. It's more important.
And more important, it's not linear, and it never happens the way you think it should, or it never happens when you think it should, or it doesn't manifest in the way you think it should. It doesn't mean you should stop working. It doesn't mean you should give up.
Yeah.
I think that's more the thing. And that doesn't mean that your work won't resonate with somebody 10, 20, 30 years down the line. I just read a book written by a dude who wrote it 40 years ago, and it still resonates. And I called him. He's 80 years old, and I'm like, yo, your book still resonates. It still makes sense. It's still applicable 40 years later.
What book is that?
It's a real estate book, but it's a real estate book. But the point is, it's like
saying you got to talk to him, though. The author.
Yeah. People in Chicago pick up their phone. People in LA don't pick up their phone. They don't know the number. But anyway, so but I think that's the point, though. It's like you never know when your work is going to resonate. Yeah. So it may, and that's the thing about it. And you can't be in it if you can't be in it treating it like it, expecting it to, materialize as money and at a certain timeline, because it don't work like that. It's like and you can't chase the fame you're looking for, because people smell that, and it kind of repels them, even if they are if they famous and you chasing clout or whatever it is. It kind of they can smell it, they can see it a mile away, and it ends up being kind of a stinky perfume, for lack of a term.
Definitely. Weird of like academics.
You can't. You can't. That's the whole. You have to control your emotions, and that's the one thing. If anything I've learned this year is like you have to control your emotion, and the more you need something, the more you indirectly end up repelling it. So it's a book called, I don't know, Just Say No or Thinking No, that I started reading, and it was saying like the more you need something to happen, or the more you try to push something to happen, you actually end up sabotaging it. And that's something I've learned so many times. So
I'm glad you mentioned that as being something that a sort of a life lesson that you, because I was going to sort of bring that up, like things that you're going to take away, because this is, like I said, this is our last show of the year. Things that you're going to take from this year and everything.
Well, it's really I think this year is about really reframing what success is. For me, I think that's something big. You're really focusing on what I've accomplished. really focusing on what I have. I think those are the really important things. And then like I also just said, don't get emotionally tied to material outcomes. Yeah, because the more you do it, the more you try to push for it, and you end up sabotaging it inadvertently.
Yeah, those are some
So,
good lessons, man.
yeah,
I could in a lot of ways I could adhere to those lessons as well. And like I say, the main one for me is like I say what I titled the show tonight is never give up. So that's
yeah,
the main
and that's the main one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
you know you mentioned I know I told you to remind me anyway, but yeah, definitely shout out to the very smart brothers, Panama Jackson, and in particular Panama Jackson and Damon Young, and really it's a community that they built with their website. And they the last post that they actually been making posts on the root.com in recent years. It used to be its own website, but they you know built themselves up to a point where they were contributing to the root. And you know Damon Young is like this you know award-winning author and everything, and really you know they've gained a lot of influence throughout the years through their work. And so definitely shout out to them and what they've done. I was able to kick it with them on a couple of occasions, actually one particular in Chicago, and there's some good dudes. So they're you know definitely shout out to them and what they've done for people like us to inspire you know me and other people who have been out in this media grind and independently in other ways, you know, just you know being willing to put out our opinions and do things on our own. You know, they
yeah,
definitely set a blueprint for success on their own terms, like we've
yep,
been talking about tonight. So they
yep,
definitely deserve they flowers for that. So,
indeed.
but yeah, we're gonna wrap it up on that, man. Well, we're gonna try to give some more flowers in the coming year and talk to more people, interesting people, and uh, you know, I think we got a nice potential show coming up to start the year. I'm not gonna jinx it yet; it's not official, but it's close
That's one
to
thing I also learned too. Don't count your money until it's in your hand.
it. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. But
yeah,
we work, you know, definitely gonna be working on some more shows in the coming months, and you know, just doing our thing, man. Keeping up in touch with what's going on out here, and you know, hopefully entertaining and informing and inspiring as many of y'all as we can as well. So, you know, keep rocking with us. You know, War Media, all the major platforms. I see they on Spotify now they got the ratings, so you know, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify if you can, man. We appreciate it. And you know, like I say, show us love and we show it right back. And
yep.
in the meantime, you know, take care of yourselves, man. Definitely watch out for, you know, don't watch out for
Amarion.
there's Amari and you know, try to, you know, do your best to take care of yourselves and take care of others. And hopefully all y'all enjoy your holidays. Can see as much of your relatives as you can, your loved ones, and like I say, peace and blessings, man. Going into the new year, you know, we all of us who make it, let's make the most of this time that we got, you know, ahead of us.
Yep.
Dave, man, I appreciate you, brother, man, and really look forward to another year rocking with you, bro.
Likewise.
All right. That's it for us. We out here in the building. We keeping on building. And yeah, that's it. See y'all
All right.
in the 2-2.
See you next year.